We're on. How's it go, folks? It's January 16th, 2019. You're in the garage. I got Scott Zielinski with me.
Hey, what's up?
Walter Campos.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, so like last night I was watching Doc Hollywood, and they have the fucking, you know how they all have the like, it's a great movie, right? We'll get into that in a minute, but you know how they have the montage scene where people they fall in love and everything. Doc Hollywood, they have a montage scene of him and this chick running around the woods, pissing all over the woods, so that the like I don't know that deer gets scared and run away from hunters. So the montage scene, they're running pissing in the woods.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And they show the bush dripping, or the leaves dripping, right?
Yeah. I mean, Walt remembers that in fine detail. I watched it yesterday. I don't even remember that.
I've seen it so many times. I remember everything about that movie in fine detail, including the female lead completely naked in fine detail.
You know what? Really, what I thought of, the first thing that I thought of is like the only thing I thought of. Like before they have the montage scene, they show her pissing in a couple of spots, right? Like 3 spots. And he asks her, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then she explains why she's doing it. And then they have the montage scene of them running around with their pants around their ankles, fucking pissing everywhere. But like, how much piss was she holding in?
Well, I think women can they can stop midstream and just divvy it out as they need to.
Yeah, that would probably hurt for us. Stopping would really hurt.
So they're like camels; they can hold their water for miles.
Right, and they can just do, squirt, move on, as if it's like nothing.
I heard that. Like you know, if you're watching porn and she's squirting in the porn, she ain't squirting; she's pissing. That's not fucking cum. She's pissing.
Why anybody likes that? Like why would you? I don't know. Everybody's got a thing. You're into that.
Your thing is she's pissing all over you.
There's a fetish for everything.
Yeah.
Everything you think would never be a fetish is a fetish out there. So.
Yeah, I heard there's videos out there of just a woman in heels just pressing on an accelerator and releasing. Pressing on the accelerator and releasing. And that's it.
Okay. I don't think that's true. That's for the foot fetish people.
Feet are dirty, man.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking my wife and I were just watching this video, and I'll get into that later, that show anyway. But there's a part where this guy had to, he dared his wife to suck her toe, and so she did it, and he was like completely disgusted by it. It's like, oh, I can't believe you did. Oh, so later on in the show, he had to suck his own toe, and he was like, went and brushed his teeth right afterwards. I mean, feet are disgusting. Your feet, other people's feet. Like, I don't know why feet are a thing. Like, who's into feet?
That guy.
There are whole porns with people getting jerked off with feet. Foot jobs, they call them.
And I remember, do you remember, like, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while sipping the juice in the hood? And he's like, I think that was the one. He's like putting hot sauce on her feet and stuff. Maybe that was
horrible.
A movie, but
it may. They all bleed into me. But yeah, that sounds about right. Horrible. But the Michael J. Fox thing, though, right? That movie, right? I was thinking about this. I actually started thinking about it with Val Kilmer first a while back. But Michael J. Fox, him getting Parkinson's was probably like the worst thing that ever happened, right? Like, he's one of the greatest TV actors ever, right? But aside from the Back to the Future movies, right? This fucking dude, Doc Hollywood, is a perfect example of the 80s, 90s type movies that they can't make anymore that he would pull off. You guys hearing an echo?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, well, is it? Walt, you got something going on in yours. When I talk, it's playing back on your thing.
I don't hear it now.
Did you move it?
I got my cat right next to me here, so
I don't know if that's it.
So he might be purring lowly.
That's interesting. Anyway.
Last time that same thing happened, by the way, he happened to be here also. Like, remember a few weeks back we were talking about that same thing?
Right. He's probably
the interference of the cat.
And he was like exactly in this same spot doing the same thing. So maybe that's
I don't know what it is.
You're picking up is probably that.
Yeah, the cat purring is probably triggering your mic to open, and then when his audio comes through your speakers, your mic is then picking it up.
Could be. That's probably something along those lines. Yeah. So
interesting. Yeah. That's crazy shit right there.
Science.
The things that happen. Yeah, it is science, but science doesn't really exist. That's what they tell me. Yeah, that's what they tell me anyway. That's well, science pretty much is only real for the person who's trying to prove a point.
I just read something where that exact statement up. It's like the science doesn't exist, but the math is universal.
Yeah.
So the science is just a way to express the reality of it, but that's just our thing. That's just our language for doing it. So yeah,
it's our way of It's our way of seeing the world,
right?
And trying
ultimately,
or the universe.
Ultimately, yeah, that's true. Because, on the quantum level, who even has a thought, much less a sound? So yeah, you can't understand. It's like trying to understand God.
Yeah.
Even if there was a God, you wouldn't fucking be able to know it because you wouldn't be able to understand the will of God because it's.
And you know what's crazy is math goes beyond science because it's such a powerful concept that it goes beyond anything that's like you're saying, that's physical, that's even tangible. So math can go into corners that science later can probably get into because of the math.
Like take dark matter, dark energy is a classic example. All the math points to that, but the science doesn't know what the hell it is. Yeah.
And it takes a while for that to. So who knows who's gonna find it? But if the math says it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
Well. There's a couple things with that though. First, if we live in an exact universe where you can calculate how far and how fast a stone is going to fall when you drop it, or to be able to get a plane in the air or launch a rocket and then get to fucking Mars, right? If you could program something, if things are that precise, the universe is that precise, where you could bounce something basically off of your rock around all the swirling rocks. Fucking, well, I don't know. How many fucking thousands of miles away is that shit? Right, is Mars, right?
Yeah,
dude. They just went to Ultima Thule, which is 4 billion miles past Pluto.
Yeah,
and it's a rock the size of Manhattan.
The fact that you can find that and know where the hell it is, right? You can calculate things to that degree. Not only does that mean that everything is designed, because that doesn't happen randomly. It has to be designed that way.
Right.
But if that's the case, whatever it is, there's a formula for it.
Yeah.
We just don't know what it is yet.
Right. That's like when they started finding out Newtonian physics started breaking down a bit, right? And then that's when Einstein came in and there was this relativity stuff and stuff wasn't accounted for. So it was good enough for short-term things. And then it started to break apart. And then they applied Einsteinian physics to where the Voyager probes were supposed to be. And they were off by a little bit. And they're like, what the hell is happening? And that's how they realized their math was only good to a certain precision. And that's when they realized the whole dark matter, dark energy, there was some other component. And it was funny because Einstein says his biggest blunder was having the cosmological constant, and that cosmological constant accounted for the black matter and black energy. He said that it was his biggest blunder he ever made, his biggest regret for formalizing that. Lo and behold, 50 years later or whatever it was, the dark matter, dark energy accounts for whatever his constant was that he came up. So he was spot on, just didn't know what to call it.
Because I think he was saying something along the lines of he didn't take it seriously. He didn't take it seriously enough.
Right. Because he threw it in his playful.
Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating.
what's amazing about that is you have the ability to calculate all that. Like even right now, because we talk all the time about psychological stats. That's what I listen to all day. Like and like the psychological numbers, but also like sociology kind of fucking statistics, stuff like that, right? And we know a lot more about people and human behaviors and like the things that drive people and why we do the things we do, enough that we can mold behaviors the proper way so people don't do the crazy stupid shit that they do. We know enough of it already to be able to train people to do things the right way, and we still don't do it. And so like the stuff that you guys are talking about with all the fucking cosmic rays and none of that stuff is real. Because what I learned is that there's no such thing as anything. It's only what you decide it is.
Well, you know what gets me is the fact that like there's no reason for any of this to be here.
Oh my God! Yes,
any of us. You know, there's no reason for us to be here, and yet we're here. I mean, that's just that. I mean, I wake up every day and I feel grateful that I'm even here. You know, so it's unbelievable to me. You know, it's so we're like we've hit the lottery in that sense. You know,
right?
Like beyond anything, we're just here.
Right.
What is
well, what if,
and it's not even us, it's like all of it. Why should there be any
all of it? Exactly, all of it.
Anything at all? Why should there be an existence?
Yeah. And who's to say it hasn't happened billions of times, you know? So
who's to say there is an existence?
Me.
Well, I don't believe you.
Right?
The fact that I can say there's an existence means there is one.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it.
Huh.
Right.
Unless we're just a television show that somebody else is watching.
Well, then they still exist. We may not exist as what we think we are, but we exist, even if we're just photons on a screen.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess it's true.
You know, where that wrote from that, one of our topics from a previous show, maybe we're that robot somewhere else, you know, that has that consciousness, you know, so.
It's possible. But why didn't I wake up in the robot that was getting laid?
Because it's all just random, bro.
It's masochism.
Well, it's not random. It can't be random. There's a formula for it. I just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just random on a smaller level, and then it somehow makes sense, you know, on an oblique view somewhere yonder.
What if, you know, see, this is an interesting thought, right? All right. So there's a calculation for gravity. There's a calculation to make something fucking fly, right? There are calculations for the food intake that you eat so that you're eating healthy, right? They're all formulas, right? There's science out there that says that Walt knows about the book, that you have your genetic components, depending on where you're from, you're going to be able to break down certain foods differently. So each of us said that our ancestors are from different parts of the world. There's certain foods that we can digest and certain foods that we can't. So some people might need a fattier diet, and other people can't eat that at all. Although, and if they do, their body acts in all kinds of crazy ways, and they fucking get cancer and they fucking drop dead. You know, but if you eat, you know, so what if there is, you know, at the end they're looking, right? It's a formula for each formula. Formula for my life, and then your life goes fucking great.
Right. Yeah. Maybe one day science will unlock that.
Yeah.
And then you'll go into school and one of your classes will be like my formula. And you'll just be like further and further like drill down on like what makes you work.
If that's what made it happen, you wouldn't have to learn anything else. Your entire life would be the pursuit of your formula.
Yeah, but you still have to have peripheral information. That's like saying, you know, I can learn a language by looking at the dictionary. Well, you can't. You can only get the words. You still need that.
That's true.
Other education to tie that together. Understanding of other things
the key.
that aren't you.
Well, that's true. That might be true because a word is a visual representation of something else, of a larger concept.
All right. Now, granted, the classes may be very different than we will know now because they'll tie into that formula. But yeah, I think you'd still need years of education, and then you'll have the bums like me that just wouldn't follow any of it.
You guys know that guy Michi Okaku? He's like a scientist. He's one of the guys that's involved in string theory.
Oh yeah, he's been on TV shows. He's got sort of like longer straight
hair. Right.
Yeah, I know the guy.
He wrote a book a couple years back about some of these scientific breakthroughs that are being tested, and he makes these predictions about when they will come out. In the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 30 years, that kind of thing. And one of the things that he was talking about is something to the extent of having this is I'm not going to explain this that well, but look it up when you get a chance. You basically have these little robots in your body that's going to influence your DNA and all your cells, and basically it's going to be they're going to have this information that's going to influence your cells to have so that you have the perfect body, so that you have like the perfect intelligence. All of these things that you think are hard now, that they're difficult to achieve now, are going to be easier for us to achieve in like 20, 30 years. So there are people actually working on this stuff, and if it pans out, then future humans are going to be able to have an easier time getting these what we think is the perfect the perfect attributes, the perfect look, the perfect whatever it is that we're desiring, that is always hard for us to achieve and takes years of like discipline and skill, and they'll just have
what's scary? What's scary about all that though? Yeah. Right? There is fast approaching a time when we are going to hit a crossroads where one way we are Star Trek and the other way it's the Terminator. And it's coming quick, and I don't like the people that are in control.
Right. It's a good point.
You know what I mean? I mean, you have on one end you have the military-industrial complex. Mm-hmm. On the other end, you have the crazy like radicals. And who knows what rules they put in place for these technologies that are altering people as they're walking around.
Yeah. Right, because it may not necessarily be in your own interest, but the people who are in charge's best interest.
Right.
Exactly. And it ain't the needs. It's not the needs of the many yet need outweigh the needs of the few that one. It's the needs of the people in control. And fuck you.
What can you do about it?
Nothing.
I was going to say nothing. I mean, it's like chaos theory. It's just going to pan out however it's going to pan out.
Yep. Yep. You're either fucked or you're not.
Right. What's funny though is, and you talk about like the Star Trek sort of utopian where people there's like no money and you don't want for anything, and people work just for their own enrichment and for making society better. And that was like a very like Greek philosophy. I think it was the whole reason they had sort of their democracy, was to give themselves more time to just be creative and think about stuff, like have more free time.
Right.
Yeah, but you still need and you actually mentioned that last week as the reason why they had slaves, so that they could do that.
Yeah, slaves. Yep, exactly. You need to be able to do without the slave prospect, but it makes me think that it's going to be sort of a hybrid of Star Trek and Terminator.
Well, the truth is, well, that's the thing, is that you could have, you're going to have artificial intelligence taking care of everything, and then people are just going to be roaming free.
Yeah.
And like Star Trek takes care of that because people need to be occupied. They need things to do. If people don't have things to do, they act like crazy monkeys and they rip things apart.
Right.
You know, and that's what happens. People get, and that's a lot of what happens in society now. People get bored, so they rip things apart because they got nothing better to do.
Right. And people say, oh, well, you know, why is it the poor end up being like these worst sort of committals? And it's because when you don't have money to do anything, you end up just going to work and then doing nothing. And it becomes very mind numbing and you start to like freak out.
Yeah. It's definitely, you need to be enriched in order to be enriched. You know, you need those things to stretch you. But again, you'd also need something to like. There used to be ways to cut out the surplus population, so those demographics that you're talking about would be killed by disease or war.
Oh yeah, war. Yeah,
or famine. They would just starve to death.
Right.
You know, so the people that survived were the successful people already anyway. You know, because we cut all that out, you have a much larger population of that demographic, because you always will, because there are always going to be more of them. There's going to be more unsuccessful people than successful people, always. It's the same thing.
Sort of designing it so that those people continue on, and society, even though their intent is to make things better, it's making it worse because it's crippling the infrastructure. Can't handle taking care.
Exactly. So now in Star Trek, they fucking they get around that because you join Starfleet and you go on spaceships and you go explore the galaxy and you colonize new worlds. You find Mars, you set up colonies on Mars, and a bunch of these people go to Mars, and then it's the next one, and all of a sudden the whole galaxy, the Milky Way, is humans on it.
Right. Take away the human needs and wants, and all that's satisfied, and so then you effectively can just do whatever you want whenever you want. If you just,
but you're gonna have to. But you're going to have to do things too, though, because you'll go crazy. People rip things apart.
No, that's what I mean. You literally get to do exactly what you like. Like if I want to go and like study some ancient language from some other planet and sit there and spend 10 years just sort of researching that and figuring it out for whatever little tidbit it adds to the rest of society, but it fulfills me, nobody cares. Go do it. You're not making widgets, but we got 1,000 other people making widgets, because there's guys out there that would love to just sit there and turn the same crank all day long for 50 years. And that would bring them joy as well. And like everybody would fit into the perfect slot. And for the stuff that people don't want to do, you build machines to do it.
I think I actually have the same personality type as Einstein. Obviously not saying that I'm smart like Einstein, but I have the same personality type.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So but I work the same way. My mind works the same way, just not as well. But yeah, I relate to that, because I think about something and I'll think real deep into something, and then be on to the next thing, and I have to think about whatever else that next thing is, and I can't force myself to think of any particular thing. My brain just will bounce around to whatever it is, and I have to be all into that at the moment. And that's what the issues that I have. Like, I'm low in industriousness because of that. That's one of the issues that I have, of sitting down and hammering stuff out. Now, when I happen to have that mode about writing, and Scotty, you've seen it, we've ripped through a book in 3 months.
Yeah.
When I get in that mode, and bang. But you got to be able to be in that mode.
Yeah. And it's like, man, that would be great if you had your formula, because like I'd really like to be in that mode right now. Like my desire and my want is that, but other external circumstances are just making it not possible.
Yep.
So how to figure that?
You just calculate. You just put in the formula, and you're on your way. Which we're on. I think we lost Walt. He looks frozen and stuck in the same spot.
No, he was zoning.
Are you here?
He's very much zoned.
Took it all in.
Okay. But it actually reminds me that we had to go over with the. Remember, we're our character that we're developing, that is the central focus point right now of everything we're doing, Scotty. He's got to come up with his drug, his designer drug that he has.
Huh. I think I know where you're going. Unlock the
Well, yeah, like it unlocked, but temporarily though.
Oh man. Right, so you need more of the
Why would you do it where it was like forever? You wouldn't do. Oh yeah, you're successful. You got no. Like I said,
it just gives you access to it while you're under the influence.
Like the way that I was thinking about this, right? Like when you're on acid, right? When you're tripping acid, there is a point where you hit where you are literally connected to the universe, where you literally know all the secrets of the universe, all and you understand it all. But then by the time you sober up, you forget it all.
Right. Because you can't retain it because there's no context.
Exactly. Now imagine if you took this pill, right? And you got some of the hallucinogenic stuff, like the trippy colors and stuff, right? But not where you were out of control, where you were going to get killed in real life, right? But you were focused, right? But you were able to focus in that tripping world on whatever it was. So whatever it is that's on your mind, right? Say like you decided you wanted to, you were focused on whatever studies I had to finish this class. I had to study for this class, right? And you take the pill, right? And it puts you in this tripping world. You see all colors and shit, but you're able to focus like completely on the subject, on what these, if it is you're trying to learn.
Isn't that Ritalin except for the colors?
What kind of? yeah.
Just saying.
Except the difference is like you understanding at a deeper level, like the universe level,
right?
And then
okay,
right, and then you get to retain it when you sober up.
So, but you can't continue to do more without it. So you don't lose what you've gained, but in order to gain more, you need some more. And of course, you start to get to immune to it. So when you take the same amount next time, you don't get as deep or as long as an effect.
Yeah, you have to do it where there's some kind of a tolerance to it. Of course, 100%. Like even to the point where it doesn't work for you anymore. But so you better hope that you got everything you need out of it.
And that puts the pressure back on him because then he needs to be able to modify it to do the same thing, but for people to build the tolerance. So he's got to keep innovating too. But
see, there's another component to this though, right? Because now, like all the when you think about like the like SSRIs, right? SSRIs,
reporting server.
What? No, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Oh,
right. The stuff that you take for anxiety and stuff like that, depression, right? They work. They work with the interrupting the synapses and when serotonin releases into your brain and shit like that, right? But serotonin, most of it is stored in your intestines, and it's produced in your intestines. And serotonin is what regulates your mood, so it makes you happy, right? So it's no coincidence when you have anxiety, you feel it in your guts, because that's your body trying to get the serotonin drop, but it's not working. It's not firing at the right levels, right? But in order to produce a happiness level or release of serotonin, the drug also gets it producing in your guts properly. So the downside of the drug is that when it wears off, at some point when you're going to take a giant nasty diarrhea. But it's going to work kind of as a weight loss pill, like a fat burner too, though, because it's going to get all that shit out of there. It's going to flush you out.
You've thought about this a bit.
Oh, I did. This stuff all kind of adds up with things that are actually really true in science, with a lot of these supplements and stuff, and a lot of stuff with the hallucinogens.
Well, that's one of the things that kills me is whenever I write something, I'm so like anal about making sure what I'm putting down is feasible that sometimes I get like analysis paralysis.
Yep. Don't do that. It's funny because I told somebody that yesterday. I would tell one of my students that don't get paralysis by analysis. Don't do it. Walt, what do you think about Walt?
I was going to say, how do you avoid analysis paralysis?
I'm just taking it all in. I'm enjoying this conversation. I have to say, I took like a while back. I took some like I had like a depressive episode, and I took something similar to what you're saying, and I actually gained weight. So that was like one of the side effects.
Oh, weird.
Well, yeah. That's it. It is one of the things because like one of the problems with it. The reason, like, I'm supposed to be on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why I'm not is because you just, for me anyway, the ones that work, I just zombie out. And so you slow down, you're not active, you eat, and you're not moving because you're just kind of bleh. And I have no desire to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather twitch and actually be able to function in some normal capacity than just be fucking dead on my feet all the time and fat. I just started taking this thing called lean mode. I don't know if you could see it in there. Lean mode. It's crazy because it's a stimulant-free fat burner, right? I've lost 6 pounds in a week. Not even exercising, just using this. But the thing is that like my mood as a mood enhancer, I would take it just as a mood enhancer. I've been in a great mood for like fucking 2 weeks.
I can't believe that.
Right? I know. I'm always pissed off about something.
Yeah.
No.
Doesn't that anger you that you're not pissed off about anything?
Yeah, I you know what's fucking really crazy is that I've caught myself trying to get angry about things. I've tried to make myself get angry. I should be angry, but no, it doesn't work.
It's Bruce Banner, man.
I'm also every other day, and no, today was the day. Every other day, I take a Russian Xanax.
Jeez, I don't even want to know.
I think I mentioned this last week. There's I think it's called Phenobut or some shit like that. Phenobut. But it's we were just talking about SSRIs. It's something that they use in Russia for anti-anxiety and depression, right? And they banned it here. You can't use it here as that, but they sell it at GNC as a supplement, as a workout supplement. Yeah. But it's because it breaks down the fucking food in your guts, so you start producing more serotonin.
I am so out of touch.
Huh.
Calling oats.
I know that there are certain people in my life that, they have chronic pain, for example, and as a last resort, medical marijuana type stuff. And it's like there's so many little things out there, and you think, why does this have to be regulated in the way that it is? If there's these beneficial aspects to it, and there's really no harm. Like I look at alcohol as being like worse than, say, marijuana.
It is, and it's because follow the money.
Yeah,
like stuff like that really sucks. Get.
I said freaking hemp.
Like that, I could grow it here in my backyard, like in Florida. It doesn't take much. If I just had the seeds, I could grow it in my yard. It doesn't take a lot at all. So, like, it's money. Follow the money. It depends on which powerful corporation is going to lose out, which powerful person is going to lose out, and that's it. It's done. Walter, I think we lost Walter again. You guys keep freezing up on me in the little boxes.
No,
so like, until you talk,
we're listening to you.
I can't believe you're that still for that long.
Yeah, because I just sit here like this.
Scotty looking at me longingly from the couch.
And it's just a little box, so you're not going to see any subtle movement and eye stuff. Hell, if I go back like this or a certain way with my eyes, I'll probably look like I'm asleep.
You know what it must be? It must be this manly mustache. You guys haven't seen anything like this in years.
It's very intimidating. You're rocking the what's that guy's name from? I'm screwing it all up. He's a dude. He was a rich guy. Hawaii. Investigator.
I don't know, but it's
part-time.
Oh yeah, Magnum PI.
The Magnum.
Yeah.
Stack.
Tom Selleck. Yeah.
Tom Selleck. Yeah.
I mean, his is well groomed. His is like I got to learn how to groom it that way.
Yeah, because you're a little uneven.
It is. It's uneven. It's not like, you know.
That was one of the things.
Whatever.
I never did anything. It's because I couldn't actually keep it looking nice.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna last, but we'll see.
Isn't there a new Magnum?
Yeah, there is. I think he's a Hispanic guy this time.
Like Jay
I don't know. I haven't watched any of it. I can't. I mean, that's a show they could probably remake pretty well. You know, you have the scenery. You know, it's not like the travesty of MacGyver, but
oh, right.
You know, well, they did.
But at least,
who are the guys with the? It was Florida with the freaking jacket and crap.
With Miami Vice.
Yeah, they did a reboot of that, didn't they?
As a movie,
that was you know, that movie's probably old at this point now.
Oh, really? I thought they redid the series.
Yeah,
they redid
it's probably.
They did Chips too.
That was successful too.
They did Chips too. Did you guys see Chips, the new one?
I did.
So freaking awesome, dude. That was I expected nothing from that movie, and I was thoroughly entertained.
That's why. It's best when you expect nothing.
Right. So whatever I got was good.
Right.
I've just come to decide to do that with everything from now on. Really, just expect nothing. That's my expectation of life. Nothing, because goddamn, you can't have any expectations.
You can't go wrong.
There's so many years you start to realize.
The thing is like you know, basically, if you expect it to everything, whatever it is, if you expect it to suck, whatever you get, it's still going to be pretty good.
Right.
But the minute you think it's even okay, you could feel that you got ripped off.
That's why I keep telling people I love being a pessimist. I'm never let down. Never.
Right. I tell you know, it's not that I'm negative. I'm the ultimate optimist. From here, there's never anywhere to go up but up.
Yeah.
I've been
understand.
On most things, I've been kind of stoic about things, so it just kind of there's like a plateau on both sides to it. So I don't get too high on something, I don't get too low. So I found that to work pretty good in my favor. So
he's a Marcus Aurelius fan.
I don't have too much of a an emotional stake on things. You know, very few things. You know, most things are just kind of like, all right, that happened. Okay. You know,
the Stoics, you know, Marcus Aurelius, I read Meditations. What I got out of that was, well, in 300 years, no one that ever knew you would exist. So it doesn't matter. So fuck it.
Right.
That's the reality of it. You look at history and all these bits and bobs and add all those people up and compare it to all the people that ever existed. And it's just, for the most part, everybody's just nothing.
Like, you know, I mean, it really is like fucking grains of sand. It's fucking crazy. They just blow up in the wind. Like we talked about this, but the total Wet Sprocket thing freaks me out. Right? That's it. Like, I'm not afraid. I don't think that I'm afraid of death. I don't think that I am. I am afraid of not seeing how it ends.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the idea of not seeing how the story ends, that bothers me. You know, and not seeing my kids and stuff like that, that bothers me. I've always hated that about TV shows, when you get to know the characters and then the show ends at a point where you still think there's more to get to know them.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what do you mean? That's it? I'm not going to get to know them more? You know, that annoys me, you know, because I want to see what happens at the end.
Yeah.
But what freaks me out more than that, right? Like, I think about Toad the Wet Sprocket. Drive around, listen to Toad the Wet Sprocket with my wife. She likes them, right?
Same here.
And you have to really, like, they are not a huge band. You have to have really lived in a time and a place, you know, to know who Scotty, do you know who Toad the Wet Sprocket is?
I've heard the name.
Okay, he's heard the name at least, you know. But
there's probably songs that you just don't know what they are.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. There are songs that you know them, but you just don't know that that's them.
Right.
But like in 50 years, you might forget that you even ever listened to Toad the Wet Sprocket. And once that happens, they're gone from existence. It's as if they never happened.
Not anymore, though. We're in the information age.
Yeah, but okay. But somebody still has to want to access Toad the Wet Sprocket. And if nobody's looking for you, they're going to lose you there, just like they... I mean, think about it. What the fuck? When I'm pulling shit off the cloud, where the fuck am I really pulling that from? Everything's in the cloud. Where the fuck am I pulling it from? My asshole? It's fucking God's ass.
Cloud is just another terminology for accessing a server, but you don't know specifically what it is.
Right, but that server could be on any spot on any random server anywhere in the world.
Right, at any time, and it can change.
Right. And if nobody's looking for it, no one's going to find it. Because it's like the same thing as grains in the sand. The files on servers are the same thing as fucking, especially 75 years from now. What the fuck is technology going to be then? How fucking far buried is Toad the Wet Sprocket going to be in fucking the annals of technology in 75
Previously,
years?
the stuff that made it some relevance, it got put aside, and that's how it survived to this day and age. Now, everything is just basically just in time. Like, it's real time. And it's funny because much like when you're in the information age, you thought everybody would be enlightened. Sort of the opposite has occurred, where people found their silos, and even if they're 100% wrong in their thought process, they have that information of other people saying it's wrong. It'll be the same thing with this. Like, there won't be any history. It'll only be like what is relevant now.
Yep, exactly.
It's funny how opposite things have happened in this age.
There's so much out there that you can't find it, so you won't think of it, so you won't look, and it's poof, gone. You knew it then, and now you don't even remember.
Walk on the ocean.
There's when I first got kicked out of college and I came back to the city, my father gave me a job at a restaurant in Manhattan, right? And they played a couple of albums during the lunch service every day. And there was this one song on this one album. It's one of those instrumental albums, one of those inspirational song fucking things that you hear like you're at the masseuse or some shit like that, right?
Right.
And there's this one song, the tune is in my head, and it will always be in my head. But because I didn't get the name of the album, or I didn't get the name of the song, there's no way that I will ever be able to know what this song is. The song is gone. Nobody knows who it is. It's like you got this. It's like one of the fucking things, like the Steel Drum album that I have. It's like one of these things you get that you found at a gas station somewhere on a road trip, and fucking, on that rack is the only place it ever lived again.
Dude,
I got a funny story for you about that.
Yeah, do it.
That happened to me. That happened to me years ago, and I heard this song, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's fucking amazing!" And I was in a restaurant, and it just came and went. I was like, "That's amazing! What the hell was that?" And I'm like, "I'm never gonna know what the hell it is." And I spent like a week trying to figure out what that was, and I was looking all over. I was looking everywhere, and this was years and years ago. And then one day, I'm at another restaurant. I'm at a Croxley's, and that song came on, and I was like arguing with somebody, and I'm like, "Excuse me, hold that thought." And I ran to the hostess, and I was like, "Can you please tell me what that is?" Because they were listening to satellite radio, and so they popped it up. They had like DirecTV, and they popped it up, and they're like, "Oh, that's what it is." And you know what it was? You're gonna laugh. It was a Toad the Wet Sprocket song. It's called "Something's Always Wrong."
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, that
was the song.
The same type of thing freaking happened to me years ago when I was in high school. Later years of high school. Maybe, when I was a teenager. And I was watching Northern Exposure.
Awesome.
Which I tended to do sort of under the influence of medicinal herbs.
That was a cute show.
I love that show. And there was one, it was something about where like they were doing these Festival of Lights or something. It was early on in the season, and this song came on that I sat there transfixed. It was freaking beautiful. And then it ended, and I thought to myself, I wish I could hear that again, and I'll never be able to hear that song again because I have no idea what it was. I'm delivering for Domino's the next day, and I'm listening to the radio, and that song comes on, and at the end of it, the announcer says, and that's Abuda by Enya, and you may have heard that on Northern Exposure last night. It was like the perfect thing. That's what I needed, and now forever I know what that song is, and I could listen to it whenever I want if I wanted to. And I never thought I was going to have the opportunity to hear that again.
Right.
It was just so bizarre. And the thing is, and when it was on the radio, it wasn't the full song. It was just some last bit at the end. I'm like, that sort of sounds like what I heard before. And then the announcer said that. And it was almost like it was a TV show where they're like over confirming what the viewer is supposed to know. So Abuda by Enya, if you've never heard it, it's freaking awesome.
Awesome.
You know, Enya, I can't listen to Enya.
What? Why?
When we first got down, no, she's good. But like when we first got down here, my daughter wouldn't sleep. So the only way we can get her to go to sleep was by playing Enya. So
you're traumatized by Enya.
So like it would play over and over and over again all night, every night for months. This is when we first got here. So we had limited funds. We weren't working. We were bleeding money because we were trying to fix the house up and shit and fucking, it was taking longer than we were expecting. And so it was just fucking, fighting and stuff like that. So it was just like a dark, ominous thing. And now I don't know the song, but if I hear it, I will be right back at that place. And I can't do that.
So the world goes round and round. Orinoco float. No.
No, I don't know. Maybe. Scotty serenading us with his sweet, sweet sounds. Yeah. Walt, you didn't know that Scotty's a singer. He sings like an angel.
I can hear it.
I've mentioned that before on the show. I have.
Sings like an angel. Where do you get that from?
I can tell from that brief little bit. I can tell he's got a very soft tenor's voice. It sounds like.
Yeah, I was tapped for the synagogue's choir for being a tenor. But that's right. I forgot, John, that you heard me sing. What is it called? Conte Partiro.
Did I? Well, I don't remember what song. I don't know.
What's it called?
I don't remember.
Conte Partiro by who's the blind tenor? Italian guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't think he wrote it, but he popularized it.
Right. Absolutely. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The blind tenor.
What the hell's his name?
Edie Falco on The Sopranos used to love that song, and they used to play it on The Sopranos.
Did they? This is gonna bother me now.
Yesterday, I was in my fucking living room, and I haven't done this in a long time. I don't know what came over me, but I'm just standing there and I'm thinking, and I just start like basically yelling out, "We want information, information, information."
One of my favorite shows ever.
Oh, you, the new number 2. But for me, it's from the Iron Maiden song, though.
Right.
Andrea Bocelli.
So I don't know why.
Right. Andrea Bocelli. That's his name. Yeah.
Like that was probably the first song that I really did when I first tried to write my first book, which was a fucking disaster. But that song is what fucking got me going on it. Was the song was "The Prisoner" of Iron Maiden.
Right.
And then fucking, of course, that shit just fucking popped in my head. Fucking, I was thinking about that. Like I was watching. There's a Rush documentary that I had to stop watching it because it had Geezer Rush rocking, and I can't listen to Geezer Rush. Like Geddy Lee can't even hit the notes anymore. He's fucking done, right? So I can't. So fucking I had to stop it. But like I forget how much I fucking was into Rush. I loved fucking Rush, man.
Right. Yeah, same here.
It's weird. It's weird how you have like. I think maybe for music more than movies, because like you have your certain taste in movies and that shifts. Like we talk about Michael J. Fox before, and they don't hit the kind of movies he was great in. They don't make those movies anymore, right? But music, there's certain types of music and certain songs that were like meant a lot to you for a certain period of time that now you don't even think about anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Bon Jovi for me was that for a bit.
Yeah, like early Bon Jovi or like
like what was it? Like Wanted, Dead or Alive, and
right, like the Slippery When Wet.
Yeah, that era exactly.
Scotty likes the old man, whining old chick Bon Jovi.
What? It's funny, I talk about stuff, and there's and this is nothing against anybody, but there's been a bunch of stuff where like I was like really interested in something, and then I'll say it to somebody, and they're like, oh, that's this classification of thing. Oh, you were sort of like that kind of thing. And at the time, I would have never classified myself. It was just like I liked it.
Well, you notice like people, a lot of people want to label you.
Right. Yeah, label, not even classify, label.
Right. They want to label you just so that they can feel better about themselves, so that they can feel like, oh, I understand this particular thing.
Right.
And they don't, half the time they don't even know they're doing it, but they're doing it, and
right.
Well, it's natural though.
For everything.
It's natural though. Categorization is a natural survival instinct, because if you automatically from the beginning categorize things as things that'll kill you and things you can eat.
Right.
And you start then having variations of that, and then fucking people that'll kill you and people you can hang out with. And there's variations of that with everything that you're accounting in your environment.
And people you can eat.
And people you can eat, right?
Right.
In one way or another.
Yeah, and I'm only thinking one way. Yeah.
Right. But where was I going with that?
I don't know. I may not add much to the conversation, but I make you laugh, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I was going.
Survival.
What was I saying?
For categorization.
Oh yeah. But it's a prejudice. It is categorizing things is exactly what that is. It's not wrong. It's depending on what you're categorizing and why. That's what changes. It's the variation of if you are in a high crime area and you see people engaged in dangerous activity, and there's a fair chance that you could categorize that as people that are up to no good.
Right. I agree.
And but the right situation, the right criteria has to present itself.
Right. It's funny because I'm going to invoke Inglourious Bastards, and it really hit home there, because, and this is why, like when you say like it's a survival instinct, if you want sort of an example that you can visualize, when he's in the bar and the guy's talking perfect German, and his German not only is perfect German, it's the perfect, intonation and colloquialisms and the way things are pronounced for the region that he is from, this very specific region. Because just like in the United States, you can speak English, but you listen to an accent, you know exactly where somebody's from, right? Yeah. And so all that was matching this guy's story. Except when he ordered 2 beers and he went like this instead of like this. And that was the tell. And so the German officer,
he went like this instead.
It was 3 instead of, this was
the German 3.
And it was like, that was the survival instinct for, you may not empathize with the Germans, but that helped him find out an imposter. And that was the whole thing. You did not want some enemy coming in. Like, you think back in the day when there was just like almost like the Dark Ages or even before, you could tell immediately if somebody wasn't part of your group. And if they weren't part of your group, they didn't have your same interests and they were a danger to your survival at the most core level. And it's really wild when you think about some of these things that we look at them as being like these evil aspects of human personality, and they really came from a good place.
And what's worse is that our level of miscommunication, to the point where if you are a auditory learner, you learn by sound, and you might say, hey, by meaning, do you understand me? Do you hear me? And I'm a visual learner, and oh, I see what you're saying, right? You literally talk past each other. You literally can't, because you are actually talking a different language.
Yeah.
You're talking in the terms of how you understand things, and they are not understanding them the same way.
And then the third guy comes along, and he's like a kinesthetic, and he's saying, "I feel you." Now they're all fucked up.
Yeah. We're all saying the same thing, but everybody means something different. Or you all literally is, but you're saying something different. That's what with my son, man. I have so much trouble communicating with him because he sees the world so differently than I do. He is such a literal, so literal. Oh my God.
He's trying to get you on something you said, right? He's trying to, but you said this.
No, it's not just that. I'm like, you didn't eat anything. He's like, yes, I did. And that's because he took a nibble. And it's like, okay, well, my terminology means you didn't eat enough, but he is so literal that anyway.
He's going to be a debater.
Oh man, he could be a great attorney, I think, because he could just nitpick all the details.
They say what you do.
He sees like facts and things that I never thought were there.
You need to find his formula.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
What if
supposed to do that?
See, that's another thing too, about finding your formula. In this future world, if you could find your formula, you're kind of selfish. But if you found your children's formula, that's an act of heroism. That's selfless.
That's a nice little seed. I think I got to put that way for like story time. Something that revolves around a society where like the focus of the children's upbringing is finding their children's formula. And like that dynamic, because the kid probably doesn't want to hear it, kind of thing. Well, I feel this, but it's like, no, your formula says this. There's something there. I got to file that away. It's a neat concept.
Yeah. The formula. I think I'd rather give it to me for an hour. Let me figure out a certain problem. I'll take the formula pill. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, McMahon. I got my problem solved. I can figure out a lot in an hour when I have the formula. Maybe I'll take 2. I'll have 2 hours. Shit myself. Go to bed.
Yeah, you can see where like somebody's like out like in a wilderness survival situation, and they're like they've only got a couple pills left, and they got to ration it out because if a big survival situation comes, like I need to make sure I've got a pill so I can figure that out.
Yep. Oh yeah, you should. There has to be like he's got to have like a spray for like a fucking quick acting fucking mechanism, like a vape pen. Only it's and you can focus right in the moment, but it only lasts for like fucking 10 minutes.
God, that's like Star Trek shit. Remember when they were on trial and he's talking about, and then you controlled your soldiers with drugs, and he's like snorting something. Q put him on trial. Y'all don't remember that?
Was that Next Generation?
Yeah, TNG. Sorry.
Yeah. But there were so many seasons of that. It's all a big blur.
I know. I'm a dork because they put it on. Was it BBC USA? And they would play it episode in order, just on a continuous loop.
Yeah,
I used to just continuously watch it for like 2 or 3 years.
Right. I remember the original the best only because it was finite, because it was so, there was only 3 seasons of it. It was so finite that as a kid they kept, you know, when they played them in reruns, it was so easy. Like, you know, they used to show it on weekdays, and after about a month and a half, you saw every episode, and they would just rerun it again. And whereas like the other ones are, you know, there's so many seasons of all of those that it's just, you know, and then there's, you know, the next series and the next series. It's like, okay, now which series is that one? And, you know, so it, you know, it's totally, you know, it got away from me. But and plus, like, the original had a sense of humor, like a really big. So as a kid, you know, it was simplistic enough that you could follow the sense of humor it had, you know.
Right, yeah.
So I tend to remember that one the most because of that.
That's a good point. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah,
it was geared towards a little bit younger audience, less
right.
not, I don't want to say sophisticated, but like didn't have quite the life experiences of like full on, you know, adults.
Right.
I my feed froze and I missed half of your conversation.
Cool. We just talked about the variety, the differences between TOS, TNG. I think he froze again.
It's frozen again.
A little bit.
Yeah. the we were talking about the original and the Next Generation.
Yeah. I remember the Next Generation for like the first 2 seasons. A lot of those episodes were just like blatant remakes of original episodes.
Oh, that was terrible. Season 3 is where they really, really hit their stride.
Yeah, they got better later. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because the last 2 seasons of that show were awesome, right? And then the writers from that went to go work on Deep Space Nine. And like the last 2 seasons of that show were fucking awesome.
They all stayed though. They all stayed that long to work on.
Well, a bunch of the head writers, a bunch of the better writers went from Next Generation to Deep Space Nine.
But I mean, like, if they stayed that long to make it to the end of Deep Space Nine, because usually that's very rare. You know, it's usually very rare for them to stay throughout the Next Generation and then move on to another series.
Well, another thing, so I don't know how many of them started from the beginning either. I don't know how many started from year 1. Some of them could start from year 4. You know,
right, yeah.
They could be people that came in after.
They rotate it, and then usually, you know, people leave, and then others come in. So,
you know, the thing is though, is with Star Trek, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a little bit longer lived, because it is a very specific style, and there's a lot of technical stuff that has to figure into it.
Right.
Now, I know some of it comes down to like, we need to do, and then, you know, in brackets, insert technical solution here, which their science research people figure out because they try and base it in reality. But you still have to have a certain way of thinking, and DS9 was supposed to be like very much tied into the TNG universe. Hal O'Brien went over to that, and like they had crossover episodes and whatnot. So it would probably make sense that some of those people were kept on because they could just leverage their experience to make it really good.
Right.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah. Plus, you know, you get you love. Come on, you can't be a writer for Star Trek without loving Star Trek. You have to love Star Trek to be a writer for Star Trek, you know, because you have to have a certain technical knowledge. You already have to be like a tech geek to fucking really be able to do that justice.
Also, now you hire you in the first place.
Now there might be the one person, because they're all philosophical, so there might be the one philosophical writer that's in there that wants to pose the question that they're answering. You know what I mean?
I think you get some good shit out of that, man. God, there were some episodes that really made you say,
I had a philosophy professor that used to play the episodes all the time and make us write fucking reports on the philosophy of the Star Trek episode. He used to do it a lot.
Because it wasn't just the science; it was about trying to look at the human condition as it related to all that.
Right, but that's why Star Trek was so popular. Why it's so good, especially because the people that watch it are going to be on the nerdier side, and a lot of that is talk about coming to understand them.
Yeah. It's an episode that makes me, it brings me to tears. I think it was one of their highest rated episodes, called The Inner Light. Do you guys remember the one where Picard lived an entire other lifetime on another planet?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think so.
So tremendous. And it sort of makes you understand about the relationship of when you're married, because, well, I'm not going to spoil anything. Well, no, you guys have seen it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But a long time ago.
Yeah, because when he's at the end and it's revealed that like he's actually in this simulation, and his wife had died 20, 30 years before that. And she comes in to say, hey, we chose you to have this experience with us. And all these people and his old friends or stuff, and Picard is just sitting there, and like he sees her and he says her name, and then these other people introduce themselves, and all he could do is look at her and just say her name again. Like it really showed you just like the level of connection that he actually had. It was just such a well done episode, like unreal.
Right.
That one when Data has a kid.
Right.
Yeah, because all the other stuff, the whole reveal where he's in this simulated world and all his other friends are sort of like there in front of him again, and his children are all this, that, and the other. And all he can think about is like, I'm seeing my wife again. Like, I've missed you so much, and here you are in front of me. Like, all the other stuff didn't matter. Anyway, it was just wild.
Right.
Yeah. They fucking, you know what I wonder? Like in Generations, the movie with Captain Kirk and Picard, right?
Right.
You know, they have the Nexus. And I used to call the Nexus the sweet spell of my asshole. But it's a different Nexus entirely. In this Nexus, you like Kirk is in there where he is in like his favorite memories. He's living in his like best life.
Right.
I don't know if I got zapped into there. I don't think I could come out to save the universe one more time. I don't think I could do it. If you were like where you had everything was perfect, like every day was like your perfect life all the time, would you leave that?
Oh, that was the question that the Matrix posed too.
Yeah, but in the Matrix, though, the Matrix is a little bit different in the sense that they were going to put him back in as a king, but he already knew at that point that they were going to be feeding off of people, including him. You know what I mean? He already knew the reality of that, right? That was more of keeping people down with that Matrix. Whereas the Nexus is like kind of like the concept of heaven, where like, oh yeah, it's everything you ever wanted.
Just
la da.
Yeah, that's true. It's all relative. Like,
I don't know if I could do it.
Ooh, yeah. What would you do? You know, it's easy when you're the guy sitting with the popcorn and watching it as a show. Oh, of course I'll come back and save the world. That's because you're not invested.
Right. But and I guess at that point, though, you would know that you're in whatever fantasy land this is, and it's not the real world. But would you want to go back to the really real world? I don't know if I would.
Yeah, but it's like if somebody said, all right, you can be awake and you're going to just sit in a dark room for 10 years, or would you rather be in a dream state? You're like, I'll pick the dream state every time. It's not reality, but that reality really sucks.
It's true. It's better than the alternative.
Yeah. So that's why that question is really real, like coming back and saving the world. And yeah, we know it's a TV show and he's got a really good chance of succeeding. But when you take that and say, okay, is this a real world situation? You're thinking like, I'm going to come out and I'm going to go into this nitty gritty crap and probably not succeed and die. Why? I'll just stay here. What's the point?
Right. I mean, if the lights go out, at least the lights go out with me doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Because in reality, like nothing is real. You know how they say like pain? I used to laugh when somebody's saying pain, it's all in your head. Until you realize that it actually really is all in your head. So my reality and my existence is all in my head anyway.
Well, that's also true. But without a body, you would notice.
Oh, okay. Also true. Got it.
Yeah. Your your consciousness is tied to body.
Yeah.
So without having the body, you can't have it.
But you don't have to have the body experience it for your consciousness to have that experience as well, though.
Well, that's why I said that you need fucking cyborgs. That's why you need a robot body.
Hell yeah. Freaking
And then you could just beam your consciousness. Right. Then you could just beam your consciousness to the robot body on the other side of the fucking city, or the other side of the country, like an email. You email yourself your fucking your consciousness wake up on the other side.
I'd end up in some spam folder somewhere.
But as Walt will always point out, that means you're really dead, because Star Trek, it kills all these motherfuckers. Anyway, it's 10 to midnight, and I think it's time to fucking end on that one. You guys have any last words?
Famous last words.
Famous last words.
You want to go first, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, like, keep in mind that, gravity only exists because of the way that the space-time continuum wraps around it, and it's expressed as gravity. So everything's relative.
Nice. I guess mine will be energy equals mass times the speed of light squared.
Boom.
Well, and I guess I'll just have to say everything is related to everything.
Truth.
Check us out on YouTube and on SoundCloud. Med CMC, The Garage. Check out our books on Amazon. The Meadows Presents. Check out all of them. They're good. They're fun. They're cheap. You'll enjoy it. Buy it. Have a good night, folks.